Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Biz Tips. Guys, I met this gentleman in was it Austin, Texas, South by Southwest. It was an awesome experience. I was in a room with him and a bunch of amazing entrepreneurs. And after that, we didn't even talk that day. It's the crazy part. We end up connecting afterward, like literally a day or two later. And I was blown away with everything that he's doing with entrepreneurs that I had to bring him on the show. Guys, meet my good friend Adam. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, man? Good to be with you.
Likewise, likewise. So, Adam, can you tell the people, all my fellow entrepreneurs, who is Adam Phillips?
That's a great question. Um, so I was born in a small town. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I am a lawyer by trade. I taught school first before I went to law school.
Huh.
A lawyer by trade, and then who ended up in, as an investor and a founder. So I'm somebody who likes to change. That's definitely
Yeah.
true. I like adjustments. I like pivoting, and but yeah, I currently work with Techstars, but kind of got pulled into the world of investing through the long route, which basically was first I literally was a teacher and a coach. I loved that work. Went to law school because I had parents from different country. My parents were immigrants, so they were like doctor, lawyer
Hey.
choices. Um, I went with lawyer and then got connected to a startup that changed my trajectory. So yeah, now I invest and work with startups and with Techstars through their two of their accelerators. So
Wow, that's amazing. You said something here. Your parents are immigrants. What
yeah,
country?
yeah. So my father's family is all from Jamaica, and
Nice.
my mother's family is all from the Cayman Islands. So
Wow.
Caribbean parents, and yeah, I can't
I,
complain. So
I
I live in a
love it because
world.
I'm from Haiti.
There you
And
go.
I remember after high school, my dad and my mom was like, "You're gonna be a doctor." Like
Yeah,
it wasn't like no discussion around it.
no
It's you're gonna
question.
be,
That's right.
and it's crazy because I went to school to be a doctor. I took all the biology classes and
Mhm.
I hated
Mm.
it.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go business. And they didn't talk to me for a while. Did your parents still talk to you after you?
They were confused. I have to say, they were confused because I was already a lawyer when I decided to sort of go full time into investing and
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, and they're like, "What? You're leaving like a lawyer job with a salary? You know how to make this money?" And they were confused, but they're okay
Wow.
with it.
Yeah, so let's talk about this, right? I don't have too many investors on the podcast, and I'm curious to get your investor mind, right? Get right into it because I think you have entrepreneurs, you have investors who are also entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
and I think a lot of people don't fully understand the investing world.
Yeah.
So tell me more about, how did you get pulled in to be an investor? What was that first deal that you said, okay, I'm going to invest in this?
That's a great question. So yeah, it is a very different mindset. It you really do as there's some crossover there where you sort of have similar beginnings, like
Mhm.
the idea of seeing something new and watching something come out of nothing, like creating something and being kind of in the mess of that first
Yeah.
part. That is similar, like with entrepreneurship as well as, kind of being an investor. But when I was a founder, I had a specific vision, whereas as an investor, I really am looking broadly at other people's
Mm.
visions. So that's a different way to approach it. And I really can't just approach, a vision just to dive into it by itself. I have to figure
Yeah.
out, well, okay, I want to dive into the vision, but how does then that translate to an investable vision? And that's a different question. Like being an investor is really not about just investing my own. I don't invest my own money right now. I do
Mm.
angel investing, but I also invest other people's money, which means I have to look and say, okay, am I going to make a good choice by
Yeah.
jumping into this person's vision of the world for my investors? Am I going to take their money, put it in here, and it's going to create more money, and
Yeah.
I can give them back their money and more. So it is a different approach for sure. It's a different mindset.
And what's that level of stress, right? Because you have somebody else's money that you
Mhm.
gotta now find a way to double or triple
Yeah,
for them, right? And they gotta trust you enough to do that because
that's
it
right.
doesn't matter how much it is, 100, a million, 10 million, whatever. They gotta create. How do you build that trust with those other investing partners you have to like, okay, this is where we're gonna put our bets on?
Yeah, it's another great question. For me, I'll say it's probably different for different, different investors. But for me, what it came down to was me getting to trust my own judgment.
Mm,
So I could trust my own judgment. I was comfortable investing other people's money.
wow.
So I had to feel comfortable, that I had enough experience, professional experience. I had enough like wisdom from
Yeah.
failing myself and seeing things succeed. Seeing both sides of the coin. Like just succeeding is not useful, and just failing is not useful. You need to see both. And once I had sort of felt like I have some gray hair, so I'd seen enough stuff where I felt like I could trust my own judgment. Then I was like, okay, bring me other people's money. I'm ready. Because
I love it.
before that, I would have been too nervous. So
I'm curious because I think there's several different layers as an investor, right? You have angel investing, you have VC investing, you have private equity investing. Can you
all
kind
that.
of give us kind of like a broad, clarity or a bird's eye view on what does each one of those looks like in
Yeah.
your eyes?
Yeah. And this is another great point. You're good at this, Joe. Um, they are all very different, very
Yeah.
different motivations. And when you're talking to investors, you have to know their motivations. An angel investor is very different from a VC investor, which is very different from a PE investor.
Mhm.
Now, technically, a VC investor is also a PE investor because VC is a subcategory of
Yeah.
PE. But the way that we run venture capital funds, or typically run venture capital funds, is very different from a typical PE fund. So the short answer is you have to know the difference in the person you're talking to. And there are a million financial instruments. So understand the one that the investor you're talking to is using, because that will tell you a ton about their motivations. So quickly, sort of in terms of their, kind of graduated level of due diligence, I'll say.
Yeah.
Angel investor being kind of a good start for less due diligence,
Mhm.
more interested in kind of their personal motivations, what excites them about the opportunity for them, maybe just like the founder. It's going to be more of a gut check kind of
Gotcha.
investment. Low dollar amounts. It tends to be low dollar amounts. Could be anything, but it's just
Yeah.
one person deciding, I want to do this. They're an angel. They fly in from heaven. They drop their money on. VC investing, the kind of the space I play in with Techstars. It's typically another person's money that we're taking in, and as a strategy, we're using, we're picking a strategy to invest that money to make a return. So my goal is obviously to make good investments, trust my own judgment, understand my own expertise areas where I don't have them, find other people to resource them. Level of due diligence is pretty early stage, so there's more due diligence than an angel typically, but not as much as you would get, at the next stage.
Yeah.
Because I know ultimately I'm betting on new ideas, fresh ideas that don't have a ton of proof.
Yeah.
They're early. They do have something in the business, but they don't have a ton I can actually measure. So up due diligence, up the pressure and kind of the scrutiny, but not at the level of something as a more typical private equity, which is essentially all run by spreadsheets. The numbers are bigger. The business has already proven it can survive. It has a business model that works. The business model can be put on a spreadsheet, and you can say, all right, what's the math formula for if I invest in column A, I'm going to get column B. So that's sort of a little bit about the run up. But yeah, there's a million instruments. If you don't know the kind of instrument your investor uses, you don't know anything yet. So you don't know how to. Yeah.
So what would you say? Let's say you're an entrepreneur, you have an amazing idea. You're in the startup stage and you're like, okay, I need funding for this because I can't fund all of it by myself. What are like three things that they should look for when they're going after angel or VC capital?
So I would say take as little money as you can initially, and maybe nothing. Like maybe the only money you should take, and remember that customers have money too. Like find customers, and they are also a kind of
Like that.
they are the best kind of investor because they don't want anything but the product or the
Yeah.
service, whatever it is. They don't want any piece of your company. So prove your idea to yourself first and to your customers. And once you start to prove the idea to yourself and your customers, like the investors will follow. They'll throw their money at you, literally. Because remember, my job is not to hoard money. It's not my money. My job is to take that money and to put it to work.
Yeah.
So if I find an idea that's already working and they're already customers, like I want to give you my money. I'm going to try to give you my money. So that's number one. Prove it to yourself and your customers first, and people will throw their money at you.
Mm.
So I would say number two, well, actually, maybe that's number two. Number one is take as little money as you can and take it from customers first. Number three may be something like, if you're trying to get started, it
Yeah.
really is, again, it's super important to know somebody who can like explain the field of play from you. Don't
Yeah.
like most people are not getting money to start their businesses. Most businesses don't get outside funding.
Yeah.
Businesses get customers and they live or die that way. So don't assume everyone's getting all this money and you're not, because
Mm.
whatever reason, you have to prove to somebody with money why they need to give their money to you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get discouraged because they think everybody's out there just getting checks. Most people don't get outside checks to run their businesses. So I'd say don't be discouraged. Maybe that's number three.
I love those 3 points, right? Because one big thing's a lot of business owners, especially in the tech space, I realize, they're like, oh, they got the idea, they got an MVP, they go for funding, and I think, okay, maybe I need to prove this idea work. Maybe I need to get a few customers under my belt first. Then it makes more sense, and now I have proof of concept that this thing
Yep.
really works. So I love the fact that you share that, which takes me to my next question, right? As an investor, you get deals come across your table all the time.
Yeah.
So how do you vet them? How quickly do you vet them? How do you identify, okay, this one I want to work with, or this one's not for me? Like, what are some of your criteria that you look for personally, I guess, when you're looking at deals?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Again, you're good at this. I would say, well, I do. Yes, I most likely have seen the kind of deal that you're going to present to me, the kind of business concept. So for me, the biggest thing is, and I'm not alone in that. It's not like lots of investors, typically investors see a lot of different kinds of deals all the time. So I would say that don't assume I need to have the same level of passion that you do. I always love when somebody is pitching me their business and it's very clear they understand what I want to hear about their business. I want to hear their passion, but mostly I want to pivot also from the passion to the business. Like when do we get to the business? Because if I listen to all the passion all the time, I would only be listening to people's passion all the time and never get down to like, well, how do I put this money to work? I need to put some money to work here.
Yeah.
So for me, it is not, I don't need to necessarily know all of it. I just need to know enough. So I love it when somebody clearly understands who they're talking to when they're talking to me and gives me just enough of what I need. And I know that that's like, it's a little loose by saying just enough, but mostly it's an understanding of the founder is the right founder and they're solving a real problem. Like those are the two things that are key.
Gotcha.
I know they're the right founder. Even if it's a decent business, I like a great founder in a decent business. I think a great founder can make a decent business great. A decent founder can make a great business decent. So great founders are important. And then also, like they're the one to solve this right problem. They understand this problem. And the problem is big enough.
So you mentioned great founders, decent business. What exactly is a great founder? Because you know what I mean? Like person can be passionate. They may have a good business model, right? Like, what do you say? Okay, this guy, I feel like this is a great founder. Like, how do you identify that?
Yeah, I think when I talked to, I talked to a young woman who was for the last class where I invested in, and with Techstars, and it was pretty clear. It was like immediately clear that she not only was interested in the solution that she had come up with, but the problem itself. So customers don't care about your solution. They don't care if they have to pay for some complicated thing that it took you 6 years to build. They don't care about any of that. What they care about is, did you solve their problem, and can you consistently solve that problem going forward? And it was clear she understood that. And she was also somebody who talked about how she made it clear she understood she would have to pivot and that failure was part of this thing. And then it wasn't just a straight line walk up, those graphs we have and all those things that go up and to the right. Doesn't work like that. It works like this. And if you're lucky, it keeps going up, So it was clear she understood that was part of it, and that she like fell in love with the problem she was trying to solve. And that's what customers care about. They care about the problem. So I was like, okay, that's the person you bet on. You bet on that
I
person.
like that. I like that a lot. All right, so I want to go a little bit deeper because you mentioned you see a lot of deals, right? And you partner with Techstars. Is the deal flow coming because Techstar brand, or how's that deal flows coming? Because there are investors out there that's like, I need deals, I have money, and they don't
Yeah.
have any deals. Well, some are like flooded with deals. Like, talk about deal flow a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, so Techstars does certainly help. And it's the brand means something. We're still, we were the most active investor in the early stage venture capital last quarter. That's our
Congrats.
plan, is to stay there. We want to be in this space. So definitely Techstars plays a role. I think it also matters sort of where you come from. So a little bit of like my own network over the course of, again, all these gray hairs mean something. Like I've been connected to a lot of people for, 40 some years. And so, that network pays dividends in times like this, where you keep good relationships with people who are former founders or current founders, and you say, if you're good to them and you were good resource for them, they tend to be like, hey, you should talk to this person, and you get referrals that way. Those are always great because people know what to expect. You know what to expect from people, and they know what to expect from you. So it's kind of both, and it's everything. And I always try to be a person, I'd rather lose a deal or lose an opportunity to work with somebody because I was too generous and too open about what I wanted, rather than like, try to sneak a deal over the line and hide it from somebody else. I don't want to be that guy. I tend to think that, I lost, like, for instance, I lost my last class a deal to Y Combinator. The Y Combinator, they're great. I have no problem. I couldn't argue with the fact that this person wanted to go to Y Combinator. But now also this cycle, I've had somebody come to me specifically and be like, I don't want to go to Y Combinator. I want to come to Texas. So I'm like, okay, that's how you hope it works, right? We're going to lose some, but we're also going to win some. And, I feel like that personal work you do over those years pays dividends then.
So let's talk about Techstars, right? Because surprisingly enough, I know about Techstars, but I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs that don't know about Techstars and the value that you guys bring. So what exactly is Techstars?
Great question. So we're a venture fund, essentially, that we use our main strategy is accelerators. So we are one of the top accelerators in the world. We are all around the world now. We were the most active in the last quarter in the early stage venture capital, and looking to stay there. We do back venture backable early pre-seed and seed stage companies. And we do it, consistently. There's probably 50 or 40 some MDs like me that run over 50.
MDs or
managing directors.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All around the world that run, I think we're just over 60, maybe mid 50s programs, all throughout the world. Again, at different times, we start, a number of programs start basically in the first week of every month, and we just kind of keep rolling throughout the year. And we're planning on increasing that even as we go year by year, and it's been going up every year. So yeah, our plan is to just keep funding great opportunities, and essentially kind of creating this long tail index of good investments that we hope will not only kind of serve our current LPs but our future LPs as well. So yeah,
LPs or
limited partners. That's true. Sorry, I'm deep in the
you're deep in the lingo, so we gotta make sure. So I want to go a little bit deeper, right? So when you said an accelerator, are you saying that, hey, this tech startup has a business with a business model solving a problem? They come to you, you look at the deal, you think, okay, this is a great deal. You invest in it based with your investors' capital, and then now they're part of this accelerator, which is I want you to go deeper into that piece, and then you guys have a percentage of equity, I guess, in the company. So if this company skyrocketed, Techstars generate capital. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So, we're not for every business. We're not looking for businesses. Like, there's lots of businesses that can do great, again, like we talked about, without ever getting investment.
Yeah.
We're for businesses that want to be, growth businesses on the scale that, take venture investment. So yeah, we invest early and try to get there before, before the business gets too big. Because if if you're already big enough, we're probably going to take too much equity from you. We don't want to do that.
Gotcha.
Because you're already too big for us. If you're too small, the same thing. We'll take too much equity because it's just, you don't have enough to sell yet at that point.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a sweet spot for growth businesses where we look for them. And then, yeah, we come in, we add huge value in 3 months, which is, the goal is to basically help refine the business model, expand the network for the company, and then sort of plug them into our broader network that's already, 3,000 plus venture backable companies and thousands of investors, and make introductions, sort of propel them on their way to growth. And that's that's the model. So yeah, our equity investments go, it takes years for them obviously to sort of fully bear themselves out, but we play the long game with these companies. We're in it with them.
Wow, I have so many questions I want to ask in terms of the Techstar model, because I think it's genius, right? Being able to have a group of investors and being able to have people like yourself, and bringing good, cool founders that has amazing ideas all into one platform and to make something work. Now, with that said, when that person they spend 3 months with you guys, they're building their business model, they're getting the right contact, or they're paying for any of that too? Is there any additional fee, or is it more like, how's that work?
Yeah, no. So essentially what happens is we give them, $120,000, they give us equity, and then the rest of it is, that's kind of the deal. We make that deal. And there's a little nuance to that, but that's kind of the basics of the deal. And the equity, we get common stock as well. So we dilute down just like the founders get diluted when they raise future money. But yeah, the rest is us working together. And sometimes we do in person, sometimes we do virtual. Most programs have some kind of hybrid mode at these, this time now, because everything after COVID is kind of hybrid. But yeah, it's all about like trying to find, some of the verticals are very specific. Some of the accelerators are very specific verticals. Like we have an energy accelerator, we have a music accelerator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have some that are, oh yeah, very cool stuff. And a sports one in Minnesota, like some very specific verticals. And then we have some that are partner accelerators where, you're connected with a specific organization in a place. And then we have some that are just city accelerators, which are, we come to Atlanta and we have an accelerator. So yeah, there's
that's
also
amazing. Let's say you're a founder, you hear this episode, you're like, oh my God, this is what I'm looking for. What is that small biz tips that you would share with all the founders that are listening to this right now and, debating, should I go apply for Techstars?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Should I grow in my business? Like, what have you seen from, all the gray hair experience?
That's right. I would say most people don't need outside investment. So I'd say the first part of the tip is try to do without us. And we love you, but try to do without us. Not only because once you get on the Techstars or any sort of investment train or venture train, it is a growth trajectory. The goal is to make that pile bigger. And so there is more speed, there's more pace, there's a little bit more, you're probably going to fundraise again, which is a lot of work and all that. So the first tip would be try to do without us. If you can't do without us, there's nobody better to do it with. The Techstars model, in my mind, one of our main tenets or platforms is give first. We try to encourage our companies as well as sort of be the company that gives first to people. I'm willing to talk to anybody who is interested in, hearing about what we do. I'll make connections to people, even if it means I lose an opportunity. All of our businesses, take the email from people in the network. So, we really do try to give first. So if you're looking to grow at a venture scale, I don't think there's a better place you could do it than Techstars. Techstars.com, Techstars.com. You can search all the accelerators. There's a ton of them. There's tons of different kinds, like we talked about, in-person, virtual, remote, and all different places in the whole world. So, but if you have any questions, I'm always open to taking that email too.
That's awesome. Guys, reach out to Adam and the Techstar team. I know they're amazing because I've met some of the founders, and I'm telling you guys, There's some mind-blowing people out there that you guys got to meet. So thank you again for jumping on, Adam. How do people get in touch with you? Beside going to the Techstars site, what's another way that they can reach you?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn, Adam H. Phillips, AdamHPhillips. You can find me there, Techstars. I'm also on Twitter. And do I know my Twitter handle? I think it's Adam H. Phillips again. I'm checking my phone. I'm not like, yes, it's Adam H. Phillips. I wasn't taking a call. At Adam H. Phillips. You can find me on Twitter, and then Adam H. Phillips as well on LinkedIn.
Guys, reach out to Adam. He's the man. He's the connector. Thank you for jumping on, Adam. This was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. This was fun.